Nah, man, this did not happen. This never happened. I am in sheer disbelief that Arsenal pummeled Real Madrid. This is gonna go down in history, especially at the Emirates. The fans were waiting for this moment. This is gonna be historic for Arsenal if they go all the way to the finale and win it. And this has just risen the hopes for the fans, for the stakeholders attached with the club, including myself. No one expected Arsenal to be this demolishing, especially in the second half. It was just an amazing watch, to be honest. And watching Real Madrid, resorting to the same tactics of holding off and then being a bit complacent in phases, turned out to be the other way around. I mean, I think Mikel Arteta's biggest victory. They moved from Highbury to Emirates to witness this day. This night is going to go down in the history books. Arsenal fans are going to reminisce this for ages to come. And no one, believe me, no one has scored two free kicks against Real Madrid in the same game. And Declan Rice with that curler 30 yards out, man, 35 yards out. That was just amazing, man. Just took the game away from them. Built the momentum, the confidence came into existence after he converted those shots. It was just mind boggling to watch what Arsenal did in the second half. I mean, the first half, again, we all know that Madrid early on inflicted a couple of mistakes in the back line. Kivior losing the marker, Saliba again being caught on a high line, and then you had a Vinicius 1v1 with Timber, but then he got past him, and Raya with amazing shot stopping abilities, not troubled to that extent. But again, I thought this is what Madrid usually do, right? In Champions League fixtures, they hold off a bit. You would see Mbappe, Vinicius just jogging across, and even Jude Bellingham, to be honest. I think he couldn't get that involved in the first half. Modric looked really average, and I think it's time that Ancelotti realized he needs a realization that Modric is he's done, man. He's done. He's done a great service to the club. He's been a great footballer. But then when you have him in that midfield, the intensity just goes down. There are open spaces like a basketball court. People are attacking those spaces like anything. In the first half, even Arsenal had a similar situation of sorts where they couldn't really close those spaces down, and Partey was susceptible to creating a few mistakes by losing possession. Declan Rice and Odegaard again trying to charge themselves ahead. Second half, Arsenal were more balanced for sure. But then in the first 30 minutes, the errors which took place, again, the state of play, given that it was a bit end to end and it was a little cagey as well, I still thought that Madrid, this is, how they actually played. This is a pattern in motion. Madrid would come back in the second half, This is how it always happens. Even if they're like 2 goals down, 3 goals down, they will pounce at you. And I think gone are the times when you expected Madrid to come back, is what I truly feel. I think there is no coming back in the second leg. Santiago Bernabeu is not going to roar out loud. I don't think with this Arsenal squad. You have a Bukayo Saka back who was threatening on a consecutive basis. In the first couple of minutes, he wasn't that threatening. In the first 30-35, he was subdued by Alaba and Rudiger, but then he just ran riot right after that. Would get in behind the back line, would start pushing the balls, squaring them across the goalkeeper, Courtois, and then, again, we could see that Arsenal had actually were lacking that number 9 spirit in the box. You needed a poacher to actually punt those balls in, but then the first half was somewhat like this, and then even after the first half ended, I still thought that, okay, it was still an even-Steven situation, but the second half, right, till the 58th minute mark, we were all expecting Real Madrid to do something, even though Arsenal had the better chances for sure. Martinelli again coming up big in this game, and I saw some sort of dribbling which troubled Valverde to a certain extent. And this is where I actually want to bring this in. I saw Modric getting in between Asensio and Rudiger in the first few phases of the second half, and Valverde was inverted, and to a certain extent, it looked like Madrid would be able to control the midfield, and they were controlling it for a few minutes, and you saw that Mbappe, Vinicius, finally, they had the support system that they needed. Otherwise, in the first half, we saw that there was massive gaps between the attacking, the midfield, the midline, and the defense, and they would go on a low block. The moment Arsenal would get on the ball, they'll go on the low block because Madrid know they are susceptible to conceding goals. But this should have This could have been different for Madrid, if Ancelotti wasn't this pragmatic, wasn't really able to use the front liners to their best of interest. Again, Rodrigo not having a good outing, no matter how talented the guy is. Lewis Kelly made him look really average. And Martinelli with the tracking back, and helping Lewis Kelly, anticipating any sort of threat coming in from Rodrigo was immense stuff at the back. Kivior deputizing that role which Gabriel Magalhaes could have lived up to. Again, brilliant. Kivior was good at the back, barring a few mistakes here and there. Saliba, again, the man, the myth, the legend, an upcoming footballer who's gonna be a legend of the game one day for sure. The midfield again was completely in tatters. You saw Bukayo Saka was a free man on so many occasions. It's all thanks to Hurrien Timber's IQ. I think he's a great right back, and he has that IQ to actually condense the opposition's threat altogether. And Odegaard, I think he wasn't the best, not the best outing for him. Again, trying to find those short passes in wide areas, but I still felt that he did the job of a leader on the pitch. When things were getting rough for Arsenal, he was there standing tall on the pitch and dictating the play at times. And you had a Partey. I think Partey was the main man in that midfield who allowed Rice and Odegaard to surge ahead. And people have been giving a lot of flock to Merino, but trust me, this guy's resilience is oozing out loud. That slap on the ball, that finish with his left foot was impeccable. Lewis Kelly with that assist, finding Merino in the right space, and that one-touch shot was just impossible to stop. And even Declan Rice, he had a .98 chance on that goal that he scored. That means the keeper had 2% chance of saving it. Even one of the best keepers in the world, Courtois, though I think they could have conceded easily 5-6 goals, but Courtois, man, on so many occasions, saved the defense's grace. On so many occasions, they were so reckless. At times, I thought that Asensio in the first half, he was really good, contained, composed, better than Rudiger was, but again, they were completely blemished by Arsenal's attack, to be honest. And that goal where Lewis Kelly squared the ball to Merino, man, they were caught napping again. A couple of occasions where Courtois saved the ball, and then Saka again getting in behind and supplying that ball, and you couldn't find a striker, a poacher who could tap it in, like I mentioned. But all in all, I think going to Santiago Bernabeu might be a hefty task, but not that hefty that Arsenal is actually gonna crumble. I don't think Arsenal's gonna face any difficulties away from home. You have a Kamavinga, right, who looked so good throughout the game. He looked so good. Defensively, he was so there. But then you need a balance in that midfield. You need to have the legs to be making those runs. You need to cover the spaces properly. This is where I feel maybe starting a Vasquez on the right back would have not been a bad decision at all. I know he's been struggling with form, but then Valverde was needed in that midfield, man, next to Jude Bellingham. Again, Bellingham in phases provided a couple of good passes in behind the defense for Vinicius and Mbappe, but then nothing doing, right? Nothing magnificent from the front line or even the mid line, to be honest. And they just had 3 shots. Barely 3 shots, man. Arsenal was so clinical, so many couple of shots on target, and they were threatening altogether. The second half compiled those free kicks, man. They were just godly. Worldlies out of nowhere from Declan Rice and Merino. Haters have been shunned. Critics have shut down. And I admit it. I underestimated it. I undermined this team. I thought they don't have the caliber to actually beat Real Madrid. And I don't really think that Madrid this season have been the strongest. They've had a couple of blips, and throughout the season, this has been the pattern, right? That they hold off, and then when they try to transition on a counter against weaker oppositions, they're able to get on to a higher level and score goals. But against established teams which are really threatening, who have actually possession-based models, I think Madrid do struggle. Benzema could actually do the work from a deeper position, but Mbappe in this game was just too weak. At times, I saw him juggle past Odegaard and Partey, in the first half, but then he didn't have the support system that he needed in that point in time. But all in all, I think we are looking forward to the second leg. But again, the reason why I'm making this podcast, I think it is really important to touch base on how good Arsenal have proven themselves to be. Right? How good are they actually going to be going ahead in the competition? They're going to be facing Aston Villa or PSG in the next round. And I'm already talking about it because I know Madrid is not going to come back.